Om Niranjanam Nityam Anantarupam Bhaktanukampa Dhृतविग्रहं Vai Ishavataram Parameshamidyam तं Ramakrishnam Shirasa Namama Jananim Saradam Devim Ramakrishnam Jagatgurum Padapadme Tayo Sritva Pranamami Muhurmuhu. First, I would like to thank Self-Wellness Awareness for inviting me to speak on the topic Holy Mother and Sister Nivedita. It happens to be a part of the 3-day seminar on the theme Awaken with Eternal Motherhood. The influence of Holy Mother in the making of Sister Nivedita is immense. Before entering into the discussion, let me first give a brief introduction of Holy Mother and Sister Nivedita. Endearingly known as Holy Mother, Sri Sarada Devi is the spiritual consort of Sri Ramakrishna. In the history of humanity, there has never been another woman who looked upon herself as the mother of all beings, including animals and birds, and spent her whole life in serving them as her children. And she has undergone unending sacrifice and self-denial. About her role in the mission of Sri Ramakrishna, she herself used to say, "My son, you know, the master had a matribhava, a maternal attitude towards everyone. And he has left me behind to manifest that divine motherhood in the world." Because of her this immaculate purity, her extraordinary forbearance, her selfless service, her unconditional love, wisdom, and spiritual illumination. So all these aspects were vividly expressed, had vividly found expression through her life. And that's why Swami Vivekananda regarded Holy Mother, Sri Sharda Devi, as the ideal for woman in the modern age. He believed that with the advent of Holy Mother, the spiritual awakening of woman in modern times had begun. So that's a short intro for Holy Mother. Now, who is Sister Nivedita? Now, she's a daughter of Ireland. Her original name was Miss Margaret Elizabeth Normal, and she later came to be known as Sister Nivedita. Though she was born far away from India, she was born in an Irish-Scottish family. She, when came to India, completely identified herself with India. Her loving and she was loving and serving to this country in many ways. Inspired by Swami Vivekananda, at the age of 30, she decided to make India her home. And till the end of her life, it was a short life. She died at the age of 44. She lived and worked among the Indian people. Her contributions were diverse, ranging from inspiring a sense of Indian nationalism among Indians. On the lines of Swami Vivekananda, he played a great role in inspiring a sense of Indian nationalism among the young Indians, especially. To women's education and empowerment, she had a great role to play. In the revival of Indian art, which in those days, the Indians had hardly any self-awareness of their own, this hoary artistic culture and traditions. She made them aware of it and she promoted the revival of Indian art. Her promotion, and she promoted the Indian science, as well as she worked in the various humanitarian fields during the epidemics, the famines. She played a great role in the relief during those pandemics. So it is the story of this woman who became daughter of India. It is one of the remarkable tales of courage and convictions. A tremendous courage, tremendous conviction is required for a Westerner to come to India, settle here, become a part and parcel of this Indian tradition, and become the daughter of India as if. It needs tremendous courage, tremendous faith in his own master, Swami Vivekananda. And above all, there was a complete dedication. And that's why her name was Nivedita. She was christened as Nivedita. Nivedita means the dedicated. Foreseeing the capacity to dedicate her life, Swami Vivekananda gave her the name Nivedita. So in the end of, now we will just try to just find the foreground, the background in which Nivedita gradually came to India. And as per today's topic, how she got acquainted with Holy Mother. And after getting acquainted with her, how Holy Mother's life influenced Nivedita. How Holy Mother had to play a role in Nivedita's life. That's the discussion today that we will take up gradually. First, let us go to the background. So it was in the end of 1896 when Swami Vivekananda was in England. And he was having these various parlor talks. It used to be a gathering of some 20, 25 people at the most. But those parlor talks were highly effective. So in one of those parlor talks, when he was addressing the audience, so he was discussing about the devotion. The devotion has various aspects. One of the aspects of devotion is that devotion or love knows no fear. There cannot be any fear in love. And then to exemplify that there cannot be any fear in love, Swami Vivekananda resorted to some example. What he mentioned, think of a young mother in the street and a dog barking at her. She's frightened and she flies to the nearest house. But suppose the very next day, it's the same young mother. Now today she is in the street with her child. And what to speak of a mere dog? Today, a lion springs upon the child. And where will you find her now? Where will be she now? Swami Vivekananda put the question, and then he himself is answering, of course, in the very mouth of the lion, protecting her child. After saying that, again he mentioned, love conquers fear. Where there is love, there cannot be fear. The one whom you love, that real love entails that you are ready even to sacrifice your life for your beloved. So love knows no fear. After saying that, Swami Vivekananda was actually indicating love for an ideal. That is to say that I love God. For that, we should be ready even to sacrifice our life. So after giving that example, Swami Vivekananda paused for a while. He moved a few steps nearer to his students and intently looked at them, as if expecting something from them. And then, in a very dramatic way, he continued. What he said, the earth's bravest and the best will have to sacrifice themselves for the good of many, for the welfare of all. Buddhas by hundred are necessary, with eternal love and piety. What the world needs today is 20 men and women who can dare to stand on the street and say that they possess nothing but God. Who will go? And now Swamiji was expecting, as if from that audience, if you will respond to his call. So Swami Vivekananda started pacing up and down, and then he rose up to his feet, intently looking at his students. Seeing no visible response, everybody was silent. There was no as such immediate response. And Swamiji, what he told was very significant. That why should one fear? And then the next sentence he says is very, very significant. If this is true, what else could matter? And if it is not true, what do our lives matter? If for the sake of an ideal, I am ready to sacrifice my life, what else matters? Nothing matters. My love for the ideal is so intense, is so exuberant, that I'm even ready to give away my life. So nothing else matters. And if I am not ready to sacrifice my life for an ideal, what this mere life matters? This life has no value if it is not for an ideal. So how nicely he says, if this is not true, what else could matter? And if it is not true, what do our lives matter? So that day, he didn't get any response. But know it for certain, this question, this Swamiji's appeal, among the audience, Margaret Noble was there. It started as if vibrating within her soul. She felt that she has heard the call. And as if as a continuation to this appeal, we find Swami Vivekananda later met Margaret Elizabeth Noble personally. And when he met her personally, he actually spoke of her divine plan, that why actually he was speaking in those terms, specifically mentioned the reason. What he told, that after coming to the West, I realized that one of the causes of prosperity in the West is education of both men and women. Whereas women are neglected in India in those days, when the women folk had no education. So that's what Swami Vivekananda is indicating, whereas women are neglected in India. And then he is giving a nice example. A bird cannot fly in one wing. It needs both the wings. It cannot fly in one wing. Both men and women are necessary to build a successful nation. So Swamiji mentioned that he has planned. He had plans for the women of his country, and in which he felt that Margaret Noble could be of great help. And why Margaret Noble? Because he felt that it is not a man, but a woman, a real lioness, which is needed to work for the Indians and especially for the woman. And we find that the Margaret Noble's response, because already the appeal was vibrating within her soul. So immediate response was, I knew always a call would come, and it did. So she was ready. She was just ready the moment Swami Vivekananda spoke about his divine plan. But then immediately Swamiji warned him. He was very happy that Nivedita, she was yet to be known as Nivedita, Margaret, that's her earlier name, that Margaret has agreed. Swamiji was very happy. But he warned her by saying that, indeed, you have a great future in the work for India. But then what he warned, but know it for certain, it's not going to be easy. India is a tropical country. Weather is extremely hot most of the year. The English in India will hate you for befriending Indians. And again, in turn, the Indians would doubt your good intentions. So would you be able to face these challenges? Margaret's reply was wonderful. She told, I have made up my mind. The arrow has left the bow. So there is no question of return. She has made up her mind. And then we find her on an extremely cold and foggy winter morning. Margaret leaves England and she arrives in Calcutta in January 1898, in the end of January 1898. And after a few days, two other American disciples of the Swami, Mrs. Sarah Bull and Miss Josephine MacLeod, they came to India. And a bond of love and friendship very soon grew between these three: Sarah Bull, Josephine MacLeod, and Nivedita. And now Swami Vivekananda, the first thing he felt that he needs to arrange a meeting with Holy Mother, Sri Sharada Devi, who was then staying at Calcutta. And accordingly, on March 17, 1898, we find Margaret, along with Mrs. Sarah Bull and Miss Josephine MacLeod, went to meet Holy Mother. Seeing the three Western ladies, Holy Mother immediately went back to past. She remembered one of Sri Ramakrishna's vision long back, which he related to Holy Mother. So what was that vision? So one day at Dakshineshwar, Sri Ramakrishna narrated this vision. That he mentioned that he was in the land of white people. Their skin is white, their hearts are white, and they're simple and sincere. And seeing the Western ladies, Holy Mother felt that Sri Ramakrishna's vision has come true. Here they are. Holy Mother asked Margaret Noble her name. Very interesting. And hearing her full name, that full name was Margaret Elizabeth Noble. Mother, like a simple mother, the simple Indian mother replied, but it is not possible for me to call you with such a long name. I will call you Cookie. In Bengali, Cookie means a small baby girl. And when it was explained to Margaret that what Cookie means, she was extremely delighted like a small girl. She genuinely felt that she was the mother's baby. And that was the relation. She was always the mother's baby. And she liked to be called as Cookie. In this very first meeting, the Western ladies, all the three of them, felt an inexplicable bond of love with the mother. The mother radiates love. She need not have to express it. Her presence was filled with that love. That love used to vibrate in her presence. And they felt that inexplicable bond of love with the mother. And when they were served some refreshments, they never knew the customs of the Indian, especially the widows or the women folk in those days, that they maintained very rigid habits as per taking food is concerned, sharing food with the foreigners. It could never be thought of. But they were not aware of it. The foreign ladies were not aware of it. So what they did, they requested Holy Mother to share the food along with them. And Holy Mother, without any hesitation, consented. She also shared the food along with these three Western ladies. These Western ladies were not aware of the taboo of the Orthodox Hindu society, where they were not supposed to share food with the foreigners. Now, later, after the meeting, when they went back and related everything to Swami Vivekananda, when Swami Vivekananda, hearing that Holy Mother shared food with the Western ladies, he was surprised. He never thought that Mother will go to that extent. And for him, he realized that how highly significant this simple act was. He realized that the partaking of food with the foreign ladies was, as it were, a sanction given by her to the Hindu society society to accept and absorb them into its fold. It was indeed a blessing. For Nivedita, this single act gave her a dignity and made her future work possible in a way nothing else could have possibly done. The simple act. That's how the great illumined souls' actions are. They need not go for that huge lecture or deliberation. Just by a mere simple act, breaking all the so-called taboos, sitting with the foreigners, taking the food, immediately the inner circle of the mother, the ladies, who were in a fix that how to relate with these foreign ladies, all those doubts, confusions vanished. She opened up the door for these three foreign ladies to come and intermingle with the inner folk, the inner circle of the Holy Mother. Now, taking this gesture as an acceptance from Holy Mother, Swami Vivekananda was freed from all anxiety and doubts, and he decided to ordain Margaret into the vows of Brahmacharya. It is a life of a religious celibate, the one who is never going to marry, to dedicate her life for the service of humanity, serving God in man. So Swamiji, after the Brahmacharya ceremony, and named her Nivedita. So Margaret became Nivedita, the dedicated. The one has dedicated her life. That's what the word Nivedita means. So she became Nivedita, the dedicated. And he blessed her. He blessed her by saying that be Shiva in renunciation and like Buddha in compassion. Go and follow Buddha, who was born and gave his life for 500 times before he attained the state of Buddha. Now after this, after getting the Brahmacharya ceremony, now Nivedita started her desired project of starting a school for girls on 13th November 1898 on the auspicious occasion of Kali Puja. Holy Mother was invited to consecrate the new school. So Holy Mother blessed the occasion by consecrating the school, and she prayed, may the Divine Mother of the universe bless the school. May the girls trained here be ideals to the society. And Nivedita, in one of her letters, remarked, I cannot imagine a grander woman than Holy Mother's blessings spoken over the educated Indian womanhood of the future. Now, impact of Holy Mother in Nivedita's life was immense. In one of her letters to Holy Mother, when Nivedita was not in India for raising funds, she went again to the Europe and America. And from overseas, she wrote a letter to Holy Mother, where her feelings are very beautifully expressed. So I will just read out that portion of a letter. Mother, this morning I went to the church. All the people were thinking of Mother Mary, the mother of Jesus. And suddenly I thought of you, your dear face and your loving look and your white sari and your bracelets. It was all there. I thought I had been foolish to sit in your room at the evening service of Sri Ramakrishna, trying to meditate. Why did I not understand that it was quiet enough to be a little girl at your dear feet? How wonderfully she is expressing. Mother, you are full of love. And it is not a flushed and violent love like the world's, but a gentle peace that brings good to everyone and wishes ill to none. Dearest Mother, I wish I could compose a wonderful hymn on you. But somehow, even that would be too loud, too full of noise. Surely, you are the most wonderful thing of God, Sri Ramakrishna's own chalice of his love for the world, a token left with his children. What a wonderful letter, which shows the beautiful feelings she had for the Holy Mother. She stayed for a short while with Holy Mother when she was in India. Now she has gone back for raising fund to come back again to start her project in a more expansive way. So during her stay away from her, that's the letter she wrote, expressing her feeling for her. Much later, we will find that while describing Holy Mother's role in the Ramakrishna movement, Nivedita's words are extremely significant. So again, that I will read her words, that what's the role of Holy Mother in the Ramakrishna movement. To me, it appeared that she is Sri Ramakrishna's final word as to the ideal of Indian womanhood. But is she the last of an older order or the beginning of a new? In her question itself, her opinion is obviously implied. So this question itself, that to me it appeared that she is Sri Ramakrishna's final word as to the ideal of Indian womanhood. And then she is asking, but is she the last of an older order or the beginning of a new? So in her question itself, actually, she is giving her opinion. What's that opinion? So by being with Holy Mother and intimately associating with her, she understood that Holy Mother is the bridge, the connecting link between the old and the new. And it becomes evident from various observations of Nivedita on Holy Mother. And today we will discuss a few of them, that the various observations of Nivedita on Holy Mother, which shows that she used to feel that Mother is the bridge, the connecting link between the old and the new, as per the ideal of womanhood is concerned. First is a wonderful self-effacement that was exemplified through the life of Holy Mother. Nivedita, in one of her letters, observes what she's observing, what she's mentioning, that one of the most striking traits of Holy Mother is the absolute detachment with which she used to speak of Sri Ramakrishna, her husband. From her word, it was impossible to find out that Sri Ramakrishna was her husband. She will always mention him as Gurudev, or the Divine Master. That's what she used to call him. And not one word of her uttering ever conveyed the slightest trace of self-assertion about him. One who did not knew who she was would never suspect, would never even suspect from her speech that she has a stronger right, a closer place than any other about her, as if she was one of the devotees. That's how all used to feel. It seems as if the wife has long ago has been forgotten. That was her subjective feeling. But others, what was the others' approach? Though she was so humble, but others revered her like the universal mother. And that reverence was very deep. there was, I mean, to give an instance, to give an example, what type of reverence it was, that Nivedita is saying a very wonderful thing, that when mother is to go by train, no one will occupy a railway berth above her when traveling with her. Her very presence to them was a consecration. Just to be with him is to as if be on a pilgrimage. To be with her was as if like a pilgrimage. So that's how they felt, and that's what Nivedita is observing in one of her letters. And then Nivedita is again speaking of another aspect, that she utterly lacked self-consciousness. Apparently, it seemed that she follows all the norms because of shyness. She will be having a long veil, but it can fall off when the necessity be. And without any shyness, very naturally. When the first photo of the Holy Mother was taken, there's a nice story behind it. It's the photo of the Holy Mother installed in all the shrines of Ramakrishna Mission centers. It's the meditation pose of the Sharada Devi, our Holy Mother. That picture was taken in 1898. At that time, her age was 45. The photo was taken at Bagh Bazar, Calcutta, where Holy Mother was staying, and it was taken by an English photographer. The story behind the picture is very interesting. When Mrs. Oli Bull approached Holy Mother for her photograph, first she declined because she was as if too shy to go to a studio and unveil her face in front of the unknown photographer. But when Mrs. Oli Bull requested, saying that I will have to go back to America, and then I need your photo. I want to worship you. And now she couldn't deny. She agreed. So when the European photographer was called and he arrived, now Holy Mother controlled her bashfulness and sat for the photo session. And the way Holy Mother is dressed in that photo, she never used to dress that way, that the hair is on one side and the cloth is tied under her armpits. That was not the usual way. It was just Sister Nivedita and Golap Ma, they arranged her clothes and hair according to their taste. And then she sat for the photograph. And the photograph was, this famous photograph was taken. And we feel that it's what's there in it. But Nivedita had a very intent eye. Her observation is wonderful. She is writing in one of her letters to someone called Eric Hammond, to Mrs. Eric Hammond. What she's writing, you know, that photograph meant the first time Holy Mother had ever looked straight at a grown-up man outside her own family. Very interesting. Yet not a grain of self-consciousness was there. You may say, what's there? Now, just to stress the point, Nivedita is mentioning, neither Swami Vivekananda nor Sri Ramakrishna himself ever saw her unveiled. After her marriage, I mean, when she was just a girl of 5, after that, she used to always have a long veil, even in front of Ramakrishna. What to speak of others? Even Ramakrishna could never see his face. And now when the need is, she has opened the veil, sitting in front of the European photographer. And you will find in that photo, there is no sign of any bashfulness. She's looking so natural, so relaxed. This indicates a very wonderful thing, that the illumined souls always come to fulfill, they never come to destroy. They always try to adhere to the social norms willingly without creating unnecessary turmoil. But if need be, all the social conventions falls off. Being always aware of their true divine nature, which nothing of this world can tarnish. Nothing can in any way destroy it. So we find they're quite bold and fearless. And that gives them the immense strength to transcend all social norms if need be. Otherwise, they appear to be well following them. But when the need is, they very easily can throw off all the social norms and rise above the situation. And that's possible because she had no sense of self-awareness. She was always tuned to the divine. So, and that's the example which Nivedita is giving, which was nicely exemplified in the life of Holy Mother when this first photograph was taken. Now, Nivedita was really a very keen observer. She saw that this Holy Mother is a simple lady who had as such no formal education. She was by all means a nun, a saintly person. Throughout the day was spent in worship. Her life was as if a prayer. But that lady, when the need be, is a very, very strong administrator. She was an administrator in the garb of a nun. So in another letter, Nivedita observes, very interesting observation. Her life is one long stillness of prayer. She looks exquisitely beautiful and saintly when she is worshipping or meditating. And yet her courtesy and her open mind are almost as wonderful as her sainthood. I have never known her hesitate in giving utterance to a generous judgment, however complex it might be. With unerring intuition, she goes straight into the heart of the matter and sets the questioner in the true attitude to the difficulty. No foolish sentimentality causes her to waver. The novice whom she may condemn and ask him to undertake some form of penances will obey her with full respect. He who has transgressed her code of delicacy and honor will never enter her presence again. Well, this shows that Holy Mother, unlike most of us, was a real vertebrate and not a crustacean. Now, the crustaceans, what you know, that it has an outer hard shell. For the crustaceans, the hard shell forms the outer cover, which, if breaks, exposes its soft body, making it extremely vulnerable. So we are like crustaceans. We are not exactly these vertebrates. Because like for most of us, with all our prides and pretensions, which forms the external crust, which is very easily punctured, making us vulnerable to the challenges of life. But to the contrary, in the life of Holy Mother, she was a real vertebrate. We find that outwardly she's soft, but she's very strong to the core. Like the blacksmith's anvil, that's the example which the scripture gives. The one who is established in the self is like the blacksmith's anvil. How much hammering goes on it, but there is no deformation. Nothing can destroy, damage it. Nothing can deform it. So the blacksmith's anvil, in spite of incessant that hammering, it cannot be damaged. It cannot be deformed. So that's what, like the Holy Mother, outwardly she's soft, but strong to the core, like the blacksmith's anvil. And that's why we find in the critical situations and the challenges of life, she's firm and steady. The decision, what has to be taken, very calmly, with full equipoise, she will softly speak her decision. And that will be the last word, even to Swami Vivekananda. For Swami Vivekananda also, Holy Mother's word were the last words. There are so many nice stories in the life of Holy Mother. So in this context, let me highlight a few incidences in the life of Holy Mother, which are of great importance in the history of Ramakrishna Math and Ramakrishna Mission. Well, in March 1898, there was an outbreak of plague in Calcutta. And Swami Vivekananda was, he was sometimes very, very impulsive in his decision. His heart was full of love. So he wanted to make plans for relief work for that plague, but there was no money. So his love was so intense that it used to make him have some, make him take some impulsive decisions. So he told his brother disciples, we shall sell, if necessary, the land that has been purchased for the monastery. Means the present Belur Math, this monastery land, this Belur Math land, he was ready to sell it. What was his reason? We are sannyasins and we are ready to sleep under the trees and live on alms. So we must, why should we care for this monastery and possession? So when by just giving them away, by disposing them, we can relieve these thousands of helpless people suffering before our own eyes. Now, Swamiji had a very strong personality and it was not easy to dissuade him. But however, Swami Shivananda, another direct disciple of Sri Ramakrishna, he suggested, he knew that Swamiji will never disobey Holy Mother, can simply throw away her words. He cannot do that. So he suggested very cleverly, what? Swamiji, that you always consult Holy Mother about important matters. So why don't you consult Holy Mother about selling this much property? Swamiji immediately agreed. When the moment the Holy Mother's name was taken, she told, yes, okay, let us go to Holy Mother. And he was accompanied by Swami Brahmananda and Swami Sharadananda and of course Shivananda. So when Swamiji expressed his opinion, he went and offered his pranams and then he expressed his opinion. Now, Holy Mother, we find generally has supported Swamiji's project without any question. But here, very interesting thing we find. What she told is very important. Well, she mentioned that, well, my son, how can you sell much property? When you purchase the property, you purchased in my name. It was in the name of Holy Mother, the property was purchased. And now how can you sell it? It is in my name. Swami Vivekananda came to his senses. Yes, what she says is, do make a sense. And after that, she told something interesting. She told that you are having that strong renunciation. You can spend your lives under the trees, but the future generation who will come, who want to renounce their life in the name of Ramakrishna, they won't be having that intense renunciation. They need some shelter. And Ramakrishna's ideology, he will be working in so many ways for thousands of years. Will it all be exhausted just in one relief work? If you sell the much property, it's all over. That there are so many objectives of this Ramakrishna's, there's Master's mission, Ramakrishna's mission. There are so many objectives. In all these infinite ideas of the Master will spread all over the world in future. And his mission will continue through the ages. Just see, there's this apparently this simple village lady with no as such formal education. She calmly is saying something which even Swami Vivekananda cannot simply brush off. What a wonderful thing she's saying. And this is the thing for which we are still here. Swamiji immediately realized the truth of the Holy Mother's statement. And naturally, the decision which we were going to take, that to sell the much property, that was abated. Again, when Swami Vivekananda was alive in January 1901, Vivekananda went to Advaita Ashram at Mayavati. There's another incident in the Himalayas. He went there and stayed there for a couple of weeks, and he dedicated this Advaita Ashram for exclusively practicing Advaita Vedanta, which means there shouldn't be any ritualistic worship, there shouldn't be any photo of Ramakrishna, no shrine set up. But one day, Swamiji in the morning, he entered a room of the ashram building and found already a shrine has been formed. There's a picture of Ramakrishna, and a monk was sitting in front and was performing worship with flowers and with other accessories, sandal paste and other accessories. Swamiji saw, he was a bit grave. He didn't say anything immediately. But in the evening, when they all gathered around the fireplace, he strongly disapproved the ritualistic worship in Advaita Ashram. And after returning to Belur Math, Swamiji very jokingly said that I thought that I have formed a center, at least one center, where there won't be any external worship. all will be, all those who stay there will be just resorting to the practice of that Advaitic mode of worship, of sadhana. And then what he said jokingly is, but I found that old man, meaning Ramakrishna, had already established himself even there. That though I said no, he himself has established there. That's what he was jokingly saying. And after that, Swami, it was 1901, and then the next year, Vivekananda passed away. And after he passed away, it's very difficult to just adopt spiritual life without any, as such, this dualistic mode of worship. So one of the disciples of Swami Vivekananda, he was in Advaita Ashram, he finding it difficult to adopt to that Advaitic sadhana. He wrote a letter. His name was Swami Vimalananda. So, who wrote a letter to Holy Mother and asked her to clarify the matter. That is it in any way not possible to adopt this dualistic worship in this center? And again, we find Holy Mother's how firm that she herself worships Sri Ramakrishna every day. And she's answering his letter, said as Holy Mother used to say, যখন যেমন তখন তেমন, যাকে যেমন তাকে তেমন, যেখানে যেমন সেখানে তেমন. As per the circumstances, your mood, your behavior pattern should change. The one with whom you are talking, the person, as per the person is concerned, as per the circumstance is concerned, as per the time is concerned. So here we find Holy Mother is actually speaking that center is meant for Advaitic worship. Swami Vivekananda has specified that he is no more there. Then how come we simply rule out what has been told by him? So now she's answering a letter from Jairam Bhatti that Sri Ramakrishna, your guru, is an Advaitin. At last, after all the modes of sadhana, he got established in Advaitic Vedanta. So he's an Advaitin. And since you all are his disciples, you too are Advaitins. And see, he emphatically just stressed that I can emphatically say that you too are Advaitins, and this letter settled the issue. Till now, there is no ritualistic worship. Just see how this simple lady in the garb of a nun was an administrator. Very calmly, the decision she is taking is fully justified. No one can ever contradict it. And then Ramakrishna Mission really went through some crisis. Long back during the British rule in December 1916, there's a Lord Carmichael. He was the governor of Bengal. In one of his lectures, he accused Ramakrishna Mission for giving shelters to political revolutionaries. That many were joining the order as monks who had a past history of political revolutionaries. And the government discovered that many revolutionaries were inspired by Swami Vivekananda's books. So they came to the conclusion that the monks of the Ramakrishna order were behind the freedom movement. So naturally, they were quite suspicious about these newly ordained monks. And this governor's remark created a great turmoil and apprehension among the monastics, as well as among the public. And then some of the well-wishers came and suggested Swami Sharadananda, the then General Secretary, one of the direct disciples of Ramakrishna. He's the first General Secretary of Ramakrishna order, that remove those Swamis. Otherwise, we will be in problem. But Sharadananda was deeply concerned about the future of those pure, noble souls. They have dedicated their lives. Maybe a few of them were revolutionaries, but now they have no such intentions. They have renounced their past way of life, came with the idea of dedicating for the service of humanity by seeing God in man, Shiva Gyani Jiva Sheva. So with that type of attitude, they have approached. So now he was not in any way having any intention to remove them. So he was in a confusion. So he went to Holy Mother. Holy Mother listened calmly to what Sharadananda had to say. And then what she said is that the master was the embodiment of truth. And these boys have taken shelter in all the master. They have embraced his ideal. They became monks. They've renounced their families. They've shunned their personal worldly enjoyment. And they've dedicated their lives for the service of humankind. Why should they pretend? And after saying that mother's suggestion is wonderful. You better go to the governor and meet him and explain to him the activities of Ramakrishna Mission. And then almost she prophesied, she just foretold, he will definitely listen. And that's what happened. Swami Sunishthananda met the governor, talked to the governor for nearly an hour, and Sunishthananda was able to remove the misgivings regarding the activities of Ramakrishna Mission. And this meeting was soon followed by a letter of apology from the governor. We cannot think of it in the British regime. The governor sending a letter of apology to the Ramakrishna order. And this removed the cloud of doubt that hung over the Ramakrishna Mission. Just see how crucial was her decisions. She had a tremendous capacity of an administrator, and it was possible because she was always equipoised in herself. There were no biases. She was beyond all bias. And that's why the decisions always used to be correct. And the last thing which Nivedita is indicating, that Holy Mother had the tremendous power to appreciate other religious feelings, some new religious feeling and ideas, not belonging to Hinduism, some other religion. So with this, I will conclude my discussion today. With this, speaking about this aspect. So in her book, The Master as I Saw Him, Nivedita mentions. So again, I will read out what she's mentioning. I first realized this gift, that's the gift to appreciate new religious feelings and ideas, of appreciating new religious feelings and ideas in Holy Mother on the afternoon of one of the Easter day, on a certain Easter day. After going over our whole house, she came to visit Nivedita, went around the house. The mother and her party, all those who accompanied the mother, they expressed a desire to rest in the chapel and hear something of the meaning of the Christian festival, means the Easter. So they means after that, the Easter music and the singing followed. And then what Nivedita is mentioning is something that is very significant. That it is totally foreign religion, foreign idea of the resurrection. After the crucifixion, that Jesus resurrected. That's the idea about which they were discussing. And they found how quickly and with how intently Holy Mother could comprehend it. Very swiftly she could comprehend the significance of those resurrection hymns and the tremendous sympathy with which she got absorbed in these foreign ideas. She was totally absorbed in the chanting, and that was astoundingly remarkable. This is the thing which we need today, to really appreciate the goodness in others. It's so easy to relate to others' negativities. It's so hard to relate to the positive aspects of others. And that way, a society can really grow when we are all relating to others with their positivity. We build on strength. We overlook the weaknesses. That's the only way of progress. And that's what is how nicely being indicated in the life of Holy Mother. The same trait we found in the evening when Holy Mother with her those who used to be in her close circle. The one day Nivedita came to visit Holy Mother with all her the disciples and those who used to accompany her with her. They all wanted to wanted to know about the European wedding. And now Nivedita, she was just like a child in front of the mother. So with much fun and laughter, she started personating the Christian wedding. Now and then she became the Christian Brahmin. That's what she mentions, that I impersonated myself as the Christian Brahmin. Christian Brahmin, and again as the bride and the bridegroom, and all had a very, very, this real fun. But when she spoke about the vows, now Nivedita was not prepared for the effect that had on Holy Mother. Suddenly she became serious when she heard the vows, the marriage vows. What was the vows? For better or worse, for richer or for poorer, in sickness and in health, till death us do part. So we stay together in all situations, for good or for worse, whether in sickness or in health, we are not going to part. These words, hearing these words, Holy Mother immediately exclaimed with full delight, what? Oh, the Dhammi words, Dhammi, Dhammi. Dhammi means righteous words. She immediately appreciated the universal value behind these words. So what's the value behind these words? The universal value which finds expression? These words of the Holy Mother explain the real meaning of the word dharma. Dharma etymologically means dharyate dharma, that which holds us, binds us, integrates us, is dharma. Now, what integrates us? What's the thing which integrates us? Well, like all other animals, we as humans too have feelings and emotions. The animals too have. It's not only we human who have these feelings and emotions, they too have. But as human beings, our uniqueness is we can guide our emotions and feelings with our willpower. With the willpower, we can guide them. The animals cannot do that. They're just purely impulsive. We can guide our emotions and feelings with our will. And in whatever culture or religion we may belong, the marriage vows are universal. They speak of this human capacity to guide our feelings and emotions with our will. That we can guide our emotions with a will. And the vows speak of that. And the more we can do that, the more integrated is our life. As simple as that. And that's why they are dharma, nothing else. So how deeply Holy Mother could immediately catch the real meaning of some ideals which doesn't belong to this her religious fold. Easily she could relate to that, and immediately we will find that she can appreciate that. So that's what Nivedita is saying, that she had a wonderful capacity to appreciate new religious ideas and feelings. So I won't take much time. I have taken a lot of time. So I will conclude by saying that Swami Vivekananda used to say that the uniqueness of Indian spirituality is that its effect is like the falling of the dewdrops. Dewdrops fall unnoticed, but they drench the grass field. Similar is the spiritual transformation that ensues when we are fortunate enough to be in association with a spiritually illumined soul. And that's so true in Holy Mother's life. Nivedita realized the truth of his master, Swami Vivekananda's words, through the life of Holy Mother. One has just to be near her. And in retrospect, much later, when one looks back to those days of holy association, one realizes how deeply it has influenced one's life, overhauled it, purified it, and rendered one with a sense of deep fulfillment. And that's what Nivedita meant when referring to Holy Mother. She said, it is quiet enough to be a cookie, a little child at her dear feet. There was no need to meditate, just to be with her. No need to be meditating or studying or doing vichara. Just to be with her itself is a sadhana. Just by observing that life, we slowly, like osmosis, the values enter into our life. And that's the significance of satsanga, which is so much praised in our culture. And that's what happened with Nivedita. In that holy company of Holy Mother, just by staying with her, there was a huge transformation in her life. Her life was as if overhauled. And that's what the Holy Mother's life stands for. Even now, today, though she is not there, just by absorbing the values for which she lived, by contemplating on her life, we can also have that sadhu sangha. We can also have that holy company. And that is bound to transform our life. So with these words, I would like to conclude my discussion today. Thank you all for giving me this opportunity. Thank you all. Namaskars.